Hey, Squeaks.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's Saturday. I just watched Pat Flynn do his shindig, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but
Yeah.
I can't focus because you're not where you're supposed to be, and I need to know why because that's just
And
how my
like,
brain works. So,
yeah. Well, welcome back to Collectible Conversations. I don't remember what episode number we're on. I think we're on like 16 now. I am
we've done at least
sitting
14.
at least 14. Okay. Because I remember the baker's dozen comment I made last time. I was right but wrong, and yeah,
13, then we did 14. This might be 15.
this might be 15.
Well, wait, Baker's Dozen was on a
Was
Sunday,
13.
but was it on a
Okay.
Sunday?
I don't remember because we skipped a day and it's thrown us off.
Okay, we could probably talk about this for an hour, so we should just jump to the
Yeah.
topic.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm inside a hotel room. Um, I have my makeshift setup here. My camera is going in and out of focus. It'll be very annoying for you guys to watch and for you to look at if you're looking at it. But deal with it. So yeah, I'm in a hotel room. Uh, Quite an interesting trip here. I'm
Where's
out here
here?
with the what? California. I came out here for with the Whatnot app. I've talked about these guys a lot on my Instagram and on here on YouTube. They're an app where you break packs. Basically, they have live auctions. It's pretty fun. Um, and I've been consulting with them for a few months now, and they flew me out to take a look at a collection, organize it, and send it off to PSA. So we just finished up. Incredible collection. We'll talk about it in more detail because I think that can kind of be the main topic of today of how to value or evaluate like a large collection like this. Um, I mean, you've done it a lot more than I have, I'm sure. Uh, Times have changed, so it makes it more difficult to figure out how to do it, what our strategies are for
Hmm.
buys like this. Um, but yeah, you mentioned Pat Flynn. Um, he just did his very first live today
He did.
on YouTube, Deep Pocket Monsters,
Hmm.
and dude, he had like 1,300 concurrent viewers.
Yeah, I think even at like once he actually like got going, was like in there for 10 minutes or so. I think
Hmm.
the lowest I ever saw him was like 900 right near the end, like when people knew it was ending in like 2 minutes. So they like, people start to funnel out and leave or whatever. And that's awesome. That it was wild.
Yeah,
I watched it. I had it up the whole time I was doing some work while I was watching it, and I would, throw a comment in or something. But not only, I expected like the high production value, the high quality and everything. Specifically just because, I watched his videos. I've watched, him do lives on his actual main channel with the uh the passive income stream and everything that he does.
hmm
And so I kind of expected, him to play around with, the soundboard and the sounds and the music and everything like that. But I think the thing that really got me, and I think he probably knew this would really get people, was the intro and then the video that led up to the Evolutions box announcement, everything specifically just because of the fact of just almost how cinematic it was. I don't even know if that's like a way you can describe things, but I just did it, so now it is. And but yeah, it was just like it was theatrical, right? It wasn't just like a trailer or an intro or anything, right? Like you see on YouTube all these like hook intros all the time, but this was like actual like you thought you were getting ready to start a movie, and that to me like really engaged me and really hooked me. I would have liked to have seen the Evolutions announcement earlier. I know why he did it, right? The whole like, hey, this isn't quite it, like be prepared. And it's also like a kudos to you for watching this far kind of thing.
hmm
um but man, if he would have done that like somewhere in the middle, I think that could have just, or like do two of them, right? Like play it twice. I don't know. Like I would have loved to have seen it a little earlier. Um, Part of the reason just because like the stream did go pretty late into the evening, so you got to think like since this is like he's plugging more for like the worldwide audience, that he may have missed some people just going to bed or doing whatever. But he mentioned that in his stream as well, that he's going to try to do the next one earlier so that those people have a better time zone matchup for it. So maybe that will
hmm
kind of alleviate that as well. But maybe I'm just being greedy because I liked it so much. I just wanted it more and earlier and all the time and make the whole thing a big movie. I don't know, like, but it was awesome. It was fun. I love it. I think what he's doing for the hobby is fantastic. I'm really excited to see where he takes this. Um, yeah, and
Yeah, I mean,
I just like
he's
it.
just he's stepping up the bar of video quality and content. Like,
Hmm.
uh, I think that's what everyone comments on with him is the action shots, the different angles he takes,
Hmm.
and yeah, now he's adding in a lot of different effects and I mean, his storytelling, like we talk about, is just on a different level than a lot of what we see. So, I mean, he's been just extremely engaged with us, with everybody in this in the Pokemon world. He's still on everybody's comments, and in everyone's Instagram comments, YouTube comments, uh, and yeah, he's just kind of like taking this by storm. I mean, one video a week, 10K subscribers, 1,000 in a the first live video. Like those numbers are really insane, and it goes to show if you do things the right way and put some effort into it, you don't have to follow what everyone else does. Do a video a day, do 5 videos a week, whatever it is. You can make it doing one video a week, which is really inspiring. I think there's a lot of people that throw the idea around of wanting to do YouTube. A lot of people out there that have the knowledge, the content of cards themselves, um, the connections. They have all that to do make this happen, or have done it in the past, right? And now you can see that just one video a week can make it happen. I mean, I'm sure he puts in, the amount of time, and he has his. I think he has editing teams and all that as
Hmm.
well. Um, I'm sure he puts in the amount of time of 3 videos of editing for one, basically, right? So there is that give and take, but uh, yeah, it's doable.
Yeah,
Like if you're thinking about it, do it.
he's showing the quantity or the quality over quantity argument, right?
Hmm.
Like right now YouTube is very catered towards the quantity side, right? Daily uploads, consistent schedule, yada yada, which obviously unless you have a full editing team or, at least someone that edits, which he does, you know, you kind of can't really put that quality into a daily video, right? And unless you're going to, expand that out. But I think what he is representing is when you combine really good branding, really good marketing, really good networking, and then put the professionalism that a business or an entrepreneur can provide behind that, and aim more for that quality that sometimes where the whole pie may lack against you, right? The chunk that the algorithm doesn't cater for that because you're not daily uploading or whatever, that you can really make up for that in a lot of these other regards. And I think the big key takeaway for me is, less this is a better way or this is a better way, but just that this is a different way, right? This is a
Hmm.
different way that you can be successful on YouTube, but you just have to be different about it, right? You have to look at it from a different perspective. You have to take it on from a different perspective. It doesn't mean that these people over here doing it this way are doing it wrong. It's just they're doing it a different way, right? They're churn and burning, little lower quality, but a higher velocity of content, and therefore it keeps your viewers engaged by sheer volume, right? Over here, he's doing it by people are engaged because they're craving so much more because they're not getting that anywhere else, right? If I think the one like kryptonite to this type of content is if 30 more of these popped up, right? And they all do the same thing, the same quality of storytelling, same visuals and everything. Now, he would have first mover advantage, so he would be fine. It's the people that
Right.
follow that would be the ones that would probably struggle because now they're effectively walking in the footsteps, right? It's the same reason that, you know, to become a new breaker or something like that, you're going to be following in the footsteps of your Leonharts, your Enlisted Leafs, your, et cetera, right? That's why Leonhart rising to where he did was so crazy because people like Unlisted Leaf and is it Laughing Pichu or Laughing Pikachu or whatever, she used to be around. I don't think she still does
Mm.
YouTube anymore, but at the time was really huge. Super Duper Danny, all of these people that had already existed, and he managed to break into that mold just using a similar formula but doing it really well, and then adding his own spin to it and doing the different things like the library openings and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I think that's kind of the big takeaway from watching Pat's growth and Deep Pocket Monster is to sit and figure out what you can do really well and figure out why it can work, right? Not just can it work, but why can it work, right? His is
Hmm.
working not because of volume. I'm sure he could hire more people and do more volume if he wanted to, but that's not what's going to make it work anyways. What's going to make it work is you watch a video and you want to watch another one. But if you've already seen all of them, then you're hungry for the next one. And so you're like sitting there
Right.
waiting, right? I mean, I was in his live stream. I just like pulled it up to leave it on my computer so I wouldn't forget about it. And I think there were like 100 people in there 2 hours before, just like
I
anxiously
think
awaiting to
200.
watch this
Yeah.
thing go. And like that to me, it exemplified exactly what makes his content great.
Hmm. Yeah. And, I think, plagiarism's your best friend in the world. Like I think I said this before, right?
Asterisk.
They no, they teach you this in school. Don't plagiarize, don't cheat. But like the formulas are literally there handed to you, and you can learn so fast by copying what successful people are doing. Like not just in the YouTube world, but business, writing, read, whatever it is. Working out. You follow people's plans that have been successful. So literally just plagiarize it, get comfortable, figure out what fits for you, and then put your spin on it and make it work. And find that why. Find that why. Why will it work?
Mhm.
Um, and the why really lies within each individual. Like, I mean, we keep seeing new things from you. I love your twin that you have back there. Like, little things like that can just completely turn an audience, and just you can grab so many people with something like that. Because no one else, like, who else has done that in Pokemon? Nobody. Like, doing things, trying things out can just take off. And I think there's just so many things you can do with that. And I know we talk about it a lot. So I'm just kind of
Working on
looking
it.
forward to
What
other
would you
things
do
that
if he
we.
just walked in right now? Just like mid,
Oh my God.
just
Well, look,
mid
that's
podcast. Just there actually were two of me, and it just
that's the thing. You could set that up because and not tell me about it. Like we saw this go viral in like all the Zoom meetings and stuff early on in the pandemic. People would set their backgrounds as weird stuff, and one dude set his background as a video of him giving himself tea. So like during the middle of their meeting or class or whatever it was, his twin or himself came in, gave him tea, and like just
crop
threw
it out
people off.
right around my chair. Door opens,
Yeah,
walks in this way, pans over, sets it down, and just
yeah.
walks out. You would lose your mind. You wouldn't even know what was gonna happen. Yeah, no,
I'd
and
be so
absolutely.
confused.
What Pat Flynn's channel really reminds me of is, have you ever seen those YouTubers that do they'll like make a machine to test something? Like I saw one today where like they made a machine to like slap a chicken to see if you could slap it fast enough and quick enough or whatever to cook the chicken. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But like those videos, like those creators, they don't put out a video every day, right? They put
yeah.
out like one really high production, well done video like once a month or once a week or
Yeah.
something like that. And that to me is like more the style that he's doing. Just
Hmm.
Pokemon, the like larger YouTube community as a whole just
Yeah.
doesn't really do that style, right? It's almost like more like I don't want to call it like the Mr. Beast style because I don't know if he created it, but that's like the style he uses is that he does,
Hmm.
like one video a week or one a month or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I see with his channel. And I think that's, he's
Mm.
talked about that he kind of saw no one else was doing this in Pokemon, that you've got all these Poketubers, but they are literally all like cutting off of the exact same cloth. And that he saw like
Yeah.
over here, like here's this thing I could do that all of YouTube's doing in all of these other categories and no one here is doing it. And this is like a massive market. And I mean,
Well,
found the
yeah, I
needle in the
think
haystack,
recent. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like I remember when I first started to like take YouTube seriously. It was like I don't know, a week or two before like you took that leap too, right? And you sent me over I'm pretty sure you sent me over that guy like his YouTube channel or maybe it was Nate that sent it over and it was that like the biggest YouTuber today, right? He's the guy that does one a month, like those weird science projects, right? And he gets 50 million views per month,
Yeah.
like per video. I forget
Yeah.
his name. He's at the top, like view wise for per video, and maybe even like for a certain amount of time because of how many he gets for that. And people like Michael Reeves, who does scientific stuff as well. He does one a month or two a month or something. But yeah, I mean, you can take those, again, plagiarize what's happening in other industries too, and make it work for your own. And yeah, I think there's even more you could do on that end. I guess now that you say that, I didn't put that together until now. So that's really interesting.
Well, go ahead.
No, go. Yeah,
I was just gonna say,
that was just a random.
I think like this to me is like a topic I could literally talk about for like 2 hours, and I won't. I promise we won't. But for me, it's
whatever.
I'm so passionate about it because not only have I been watching like his growth and other YouTubers' growth and your growth and all of these people, because I'm analyzing it because I'm trying to figure out how to grow myself and like where my niche is and all of that, within the community. And and it obviously your wheels get spinning. You start thinking of all these ideas. Maybe I should make a shorts only channel. Maybe I should make a Naruto only channel. Next thing you know, I've got my headband on and I'm Naruto running through the house. And like because you start to get those creative juices flowing, and you see where like all of this opportunity lies, right? Like the two of me was not like an original idea. People have done that before. A friend of mine, American Dad, he streams on Twitch. He has done skits over on Twitter, which was one of his biggest, social media platforms. He used to do skits like that for Fortnite, and he would do like the which, by the way, you guys should go watch these. They were hilarious. He would do like the Fortnite boardroom, like when they're deciding on updates, and he would play like all of the executives. And I mean, they're freaking hilarious. And like, that's where I got the idea. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go and look at, Google and figure out how to do this. Like, how do you do it? And sit down and actually learn how to do it. Right. And if I had like a team or something, I could just pass it off to them and be like, hey, tell me how to do this. I'll do it and give you the footage you need and you can put it all together. Right. But like, that's the kind of thing is, figuring out like these different types of content that you want to make, or, what's successful in another area that maybe people aren't doing here that you could do. And then figuring out how to actually do it and implement it within, like, if it's possible for you to do it. Right. And that was something that once I learned how to do it, it was actually way more simple than what I ever thought it was. But if you've never thought about how like that kind of thing works, and for anyone that doesn't really know, if you don't like watch my videos, you just watch Radars, sometimes I'll film like two of me on the same screen. Like I walk in and talk to myself, that kind of thing. And I had never really thought about editing or thought about the details or anything. So for me, it was one of those situations where I was just like, this is just like the most magic thing ever. But once I actually like started to unpack it, I was like, this is really actually not that difficult to do and pretty basic. And like, I'm shocked more people don't do this. And so like, it was one of those things that then I was like, what else is there that I've looked at before? I was just like, holy cow. Right. And like, I just got Adobe Premiere Pro, and instead of using like the cheap little, editor that I was using before. And it's almost overwhelming because I've like started going in and like, how everyone does like the hard zooms on like your face and stuff. Well, I've learned that you can do like the soft zooms up and the slow zooms, and you can move the camera around with you. And like, but it's almost overwhelming because there's so much control that like, I just want to jump out of my own skin, because I'm like, I just want the camera to zoom back and forth. Like, I don't need anything more than that. I don't want to add 800 keyframes. I don't need to adjust the speed and the scale and all that. Like, but like, it's fun. Right. And like, this is like the passion of it, and you can see that in his work, right? That was kind of like my moral of this whole thing, is you can see that passion in his work, even if there's always going to be that guy, well, he's not editing it himself. Okay, well, I guarantee you that he does a lot of the editing portion, in the sense of like providing the ideas and the content and figuring out with them how to put it together, because I've watched his passive income stream where they like use Frame.io to actually put the videos up in it, and you can talk to your editors about like this point and put this clip and how to, that kind of thing. And so you can see his passion in what he's doing. Right. Tonight, he was like a kid in a candy store, like, like on live on stream, like doing it, hitting his buttons and the flames come up when he pulls a Charizard or something like that. Like you could see his passion for it. And I think that is probably the biggest recipe for the whole thing, is having a passion for what you're doing, because that can make up a lot of ground where maybe some of your other things are lacking, like lighting or sound or whatever. It's just your pure passion and enjoyment. And because that's something for me, sometimes there will be a video and I'll want to make a video because that's the thing everyone's talking about and I think it'll get clicks. But if I'm not passionate about it, it's not going to do well, right? The videos where I like get amped up and just like, jack to the tits because I just want to talk about it, like those are the ones that do well regardless of like how much editing I put into it or that kind of thing, because that's like why people are there. And I'm starting to like realize that and understand that more because I'm watching channels like his and seeing that passion always come through. So you take that passion and you combine it with like over the top editing, and I mean, the guy's gonna
Yeah.
be at 1 million before the end of the year. Like I believe I was like, I think I said it like his second video. I was like, 1 million subs end of the year, no problem. Like,
Really?
oh,
Hey.
absolutely. I really, if it doesn't, I'd be shocked because the thing is, YouTube is gonna snowball too, right? Like the graph is never linear. It's like a curve, right? And once he gets that
Yeah.
snowball rolling, I mean, it's just gonna take off. Pokerev is a great example. Pokerev
Mhm.
absolutely like once he got that ball rolling, dude, it just.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he did hit a couple milestones that was tough to get over, but yeah, I mean, 1 million would be incredible. I mean, we just saw a first edition base set box sell for $1 million, so pretty nice segue there, I guess. Which I know you've already talked about.
When I drink,
Um,
every time.
I'm good at that. So I haven't really talked about this yet, or we haven't. I mean, our last conversation, we kind of made guesstimates of, $20,000 per pack would be
They were at
kind of around the
16.
mark.
At the time.
25,000 wouldn't be out of this world, but 40, like, dude, I that's absurd. What did you do the numbers? Did you bring out the whiteboard again?
So I haven't brought out the whiteboard yet. I just gave like a quick summary, ask if people did. The comment section says they want a
Slacking.
whiteboard video. So we're probably gonna do a whiteboard video soon. But
Good.
mental number crunching, I mean, you're looking at close to 1.4 million on the box. Obviously we don't know what his expenses are in doing this, his partnership with the auction house, et cetera, et cetera.
Probably zero.
Yeah. So let's say that his all of the additional advertising revenue and stuff that he's going to get when he actually does the live break is going to offset paying the employees, the costs, all that. Let's just say that's a neutral 1.4 mil. 6 boxes, you're looking at, what is that, 8.4 million? So 8.4 million on $2 million investment, you're up 6.4 million. Tax rate, take that off, 50%, whatever. Like he's going to be up multi-million dollars on this one play. Or you could just do the flip. 2 boxes, he's up like 800K and just sits on the other 4, and he profited, nearly $1 million and has 4 booster boxes left over.
Yeah, this with this absurd price, like it makes me want to believe and think that he'll open a box for himself and grade the cards. I mean, that's something that I would personally do if I made that much money on anything like this. I would enjoy some of it. And I mean, he did make it sound like he was going to open them all, or he'd do breaks. I don't know exactly where I got that from, but it just kind of sounded like that when he first announced it all. But yeah, I mean, if he's got people chirping in his ear, the right people chirping in his ear, that makes the most sense. Sit on a couple, do a couple more breaks strategically in order to keep raising the prices and pay attention to the market and the hype around it. So, I mean, he's smart. He's going to figure it out. But, he did post on his story today. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he made it very clear, like, calm down, Pokemon market. This is not the prices for these packs. He actually, he talked about, of course, the premium of him. And he did put an emphasis on saying, I don't know if it's because of the NFTs, like we talked about briefly, I guess, last time, the crypto stuff. So he seems to be pushing that. And to be honest, we won't know where that value lies until they, come out the 27th. So I'm not too hyped up on that, but again, I think it's just a curious thing to watch, an interesting thing to watch. And, I guess it's good that he said that about the packs. I don't know if it'll slow down the hype anyway or not.
Probably not. I mean, we're just kind of hype train city for Pokemon everything. I think he could have came out and did a box break of McDonald's packs and people would have hype train city at this point. I don't think it really matters what he's breaking. I think the big thing to note is, one, he did that last time too. He came out and said 200, these aren't the prices of the packs, blah, 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 which part of that was
after the break.
Yeah, after the break, right? And now he's doing it, after the technically it's after the break because they've already sold. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like the break happening is kind of irrelevant at this point. Like, and but I think the intent's different this time, right? I think the first time the intent was, oh crap, I want to buy more boxes, and I just inflated the price. And the intent this time is, hey, I actually like Pokemon and don't want people to feel like I'm destroying the market that they love, right? And I think that's like the bigger theme of this whole thing, and kind of what you just talked about. You've got, you know, the crypto cards, the advertising, the pack cost, you know, like how do you break down that 36 to 44K, let's just say 40 average for this. How do you break down that 40K average value, right? Because people are out there, you know, if they've got a first ed box now, they're going to want to start asking $1 million+ for it, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to be hard to find that middle ground until another one goes up on Heritage or, you know, Goldine or wherever. I always call it Goldine. I think it's Goldin. But anyways, Goldine. They should rename it Goldine at this point. Like, come on. But they, like, at what point are we going to see one of those boxes come up where we can figure out what that price is, right? That was the advantage to the last Logan Paul break, is that another box sold very quickly after, and we got to actually see kind of what the market accepted that price to be without the advertisement or the crypto, or well, it didn't have crypto the first time, but this time we won't know that if another first ed box will come up. I assume one will. I assume it'll pull somebody's out of the woodwork because they'll want to try to ride this wave and cash in on it. But it's like you said, you know, I'm not sold on the crypto thing. The advertisement is huge, probably a bigger part at this point than the pack is. And so, yeah, I'm not really sure where the box price lands if I had to just off the cuff guess 600,000-700,000.
Yeah, you know, one did pop up on Instagram. They're asking like 450 OBO. There's some things that don't sit right with me about it. You know, I can't say no one can really guarantee it's real or fake until you open it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because Logan bought one for 200, sold it for 400. The prices went up to 300, 350, and that's what he bought his 6 at, 350-ish. And now if we jump that high, 4x, 5x, 4x, yeah, where will that land? That's probably fair. 500,000, 600,000. We'll see, I guess. I think there might be one up on Heritage soon. Maybe not. I gotta take a look at that. Too much traveling, so don't have time to do that at the moment. But yeah, very interesting to see, man. I'm excited for the event.
Did you buy a pack?
I think no, I didn't.
Oh, you thought about it. I thought maybe you were like trying to figure out how to break it to me to tell me. I didn't know.
No. Well, I think he actually only sold 32 or something. I think he kept a couple.
Really?
He said it. I think he said that in his story. Like, he only sold 32 or 33.
Because I know that there were 12 not listed that were like going to crypto buyers that were going to be averaged out based on cost. I did, when I made the video today, I had like clipped like the auction prices or whatever, just so I could scroll through and have like a video on the side scrolling through. And there were 2 of them, I think, that said 0 was the price or something, almost like they had been voided out or something. Like, I don't know what the deal was with that, but all the others had prices, but that auction lot like said 0. I don't remember exactly what it was, but maybe that's what that's referring to. I'm not really sure. I didn't see any of this. I haven't been on Instagram all day. But interesting. That would be
so maybe
really
he has a couple to open for himself. You know, as long as he throws his name in with whatever random way he does it, I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah.
I think it's more fun to see that he's enjoying some packs as well. But yeah, I mean, after all that, I guess I kind of want to talk about something helpful for everybody. Something that I'm doing right now is evaluating and figuring out what to do when, I guess, purchasing large collections. You know, especially in today's market where, I mean, I go to stores now, like I was at Frankenson's the other day as I flew into California, and there's no prices on anything anymore because the market's so volatile. And when you ask the vendors for something, they have to look it up on eBay. Like people don't know the prices anymore because they just constantly change. So um, let me ask you about going about a large collection purchase. I don't know if you've done one recently within Pokemon. Um, Maybe I guess the strategy can be traded off to other stuff too. But what's like the first thing that you do when someone offers you just a huge raw binder collection, basically? What goes through your head?
So I've had a few of these over the years that I think I would like tier. It's weird to put them in a tier of once in a lifetime, but then have multiple in it, right? But that I think most people would classify as like a once in a lifetime. Like if you found one of those, that would just be insane. And I've had a few
Right.
of those, and generally the first thing is that they're generally massive, right? It's like sometimes your once in a lifetime can just be like a single card or a single item, but for the most part generally those are more like the storage locker finds, or you call them a, what do you call them, a barn burner or something like
A barn
a
find. A
barn
barn
find.
find.
There you go. I don't A barn
Yeah.
burner. I don't know why I said that, but anyways, a barn find. Yeah, like something like that. That's just like a ton of stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I think the first thing that I try to do when I evaluate something like that is to, one, not look at it as a whole, because you're just going to get overwhelmed and it's going to be difficult to do it. I try to isolate and identify the top 10% of whatever I'm looking at, right? And so, like,
Hmm.
for instance, one time I bought a master set collection, Base Unlimited all the way through Furious Fist at the time. It had everything: pre-release promos, staff promos, errors, you name it, it was in there. And everything was like pack fresh mint, like gold stars, crystal shinings, etc. So
Hmm.
in my mind, to evaluate like what is this worth, right? And this is, when I name values and stuff, I mean, we're talking back in like 2015, 2016 era. Um, you go through and you look at like a Ray Gold Star and you take its price, you take Crystal Charizard, which at the time I think was like $1,500 or something like that, and you start
Hmm.
taking these cards and figuring out like what is my top 10%, right? And you can do this in a myriad of ways. You can, like, if like, for instance, I knew this was a master set collection, I can go look up all the gold stars and just make that list, make that price list, look up all the shinings, and then maybe the top like 5-10% of EXs, add that up. That kind of gives you a bigger whole, because a lot of your weight on a collection like that is going to be rooted in a percentage of what's there, right? That way you're
Right.
not sitting and putting equal time into evaluating the bulk stuff versus the high end stuff. Because if you sit and
Hmm.
go through and price every single thing out, you're going to put way more time into that than what's necessary, because the key is speed, right? Anytime you have something like that, anybody else could message that buyer and be, or that seller, and be like, "Oh, I want to get in on this," right? And like give an offer higher than yours. And so the key is speed. You want to lock that acquisition down as quickly as possible. And so you want to evaluate as quickly as possible, even if that means that you may end up giving a little more margin because you didn't, you high rolled it right. At least you acquired it versus the potential
Hmm.
of losing it. Now, if you know that no one out there knows about this person isn't talking to anyone, et cetera, you can take more time and, effectively get as calculated as you want. And so it's essentially, the more you calculate, the more accurate of a number you get, but the longer it will take. And so you just have to evaluate how
Right.
much time you really want to put into evaluating the collection itself.
Yeah, and I mean, like, unfortunately, in the world we live in, it's no one's really finding that anymore. So everyone's talking to everybody because
Yeah.
it's so easy to communicate, and word of just spreads so quickly. I mean, that's the same exact thing I do with loose cards like that, right? You look at the main stuff, evaluate condition, evaluate um, what those prices would be. But now so many things are, it's different today where so many cards are in such a huge range. I mean, looking at like it's like a reverse hollow legendary collection set, right? I mean, yeah, you can kind of bulk in the trainers and like commons and stuff, take out the Pikachus, but I mean, you pick out. There's so many different popular Pokemon now, and so many different prices. It's very hard and time and a very time consuming thing to do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the general rule of thumb. I think a lot of us do is like you said, pick out that 10%. I mean, whatever number you
Hmm.
pick out. I mean, it's Charizards, Rayquazas, from each set,
Yeah.
and do that. Um, and even now, it's for me, it's really tough because um, I mean, most people again will look at a collection and try to evaluate themselves and find PSA card prices, and that's a hard thing to do when your cards aren't graded, right? I mean, and people don't understand the process that's involved now and the amount of money that has to go out now and that you have to basically throw out and sit on until it comes back. So it's a very frustrating and difficult thing to do now and have that conversation with people. Um, because like I said before, I am working on that now. I mean, it's kind of a deal that's already been done. Cards have been sent off the PSA. Things are complete. But just for my sake, I'm putting a number on it, and it's very difficult now. It's so
Hmm.
hard to do because of the huge range of prices, and I mean, going through everything that's mint or might have a binder dent, it's just very, very time consuming. So I mean, I'm so used to. I mean, it's still pretty easy with sealed product, right? I mean, they have a pretty general price point that you can find and calculate and figure out. Um, but going in with a plan and having that, I guess, confidence and understanding of what you're looking at can really help that situation as well too. Showing, that confidence and knowledge to the person selling can really help speed up the process of them wanting to sell to you.
Hmm.
So, uh, that's one thing, is gathering as much information as possible before going and looking at this thing, going and looking at the collection. Um, it's a very important thing to have and put your time into. But uh, I mean, the collections. Yeah, go ahead. You're.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well,
Mhm.
and kind of playing off what you said there, with like the time and the knowledge, it's also super important that if you're out there and you're like, oh, I want to invest in this, or I want to, I may have just found a score, but you don't know enough about it. It's probably in your best interest to find an expert, probably somebody that's not gonna, slide in on your deal, but that someone's an expert that you could consult or go to or something, because of the fact that without that knowledge, you very well could end up maybe not doing as well as what you thought you were going to do, right? Like, for example, say you're going to buy a big collection of, reverse hollows from Legendary Collection. You look at those cards front and back, but maybe not under the correct light. And you're thinking, well, my God, we got nines and tens here, baby. And next thing you know, you send them in and now you're on sevens and eights because it has one of the worst foil patterns for not seeing scratches and stuff on it. And so you get dinged on surface. And next thing you know, this thing's worth 60% of what you thought it was going to be worth, and you paid 70% of its graded 9 and 10 value, and now you're down 10%, and you have to sell the stuff to recoup your money. And that's sometimes where, generally the people that need the consultation and the experts the most are the ones that like don't want to pay for them because they don't see the value in it, but are the ones that need it the most. And generally the ones that do pay for it are probably the people that don't need it as much, right? And so it's always like
Right.
that catch 22. That's what makes that industry so hard. But it that extra little bit of money, to pay someone, a couple $1,000 to come evaluate or whatever it is, depending on the size of the collection, can be the make or break between tens to even hundreds of thousands, depending on, how large of a collection we're talking about. And, that's why when you mentioned that knowledge thing to me, it makes so much sense. You're telling me, oh yeah, I'm flying out. I got to do this collection appraisal thing. Next thing you know, here you are in California. You're gone. A couple days. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? But it makes sense, right? Because something is like a huge collection. It takes time to appraise that. It takes knowledge to assess it, and it takes time to compile all of that knowledge and then be able to, present it into a
Hmm.
fashion that somebody that maybe doesn't have that much knowledge can then understand and interpret how to go about with that collection.
Right. And a huge thing right now with, again, I we get so many new people constantly diving into this market, and none of them have an understanding or have plans on how to sell things and how to grade things. And they don't understand the process, they don't understand the cost, they don't have any idea how that works. And when you're able to bring someone in to really just solidify that little aspect of, yeah, I mean, here's, this collection that Whatnot is consigning is base set first edition all the way through Skyridge, complete sets. There's multiples of some stuff. There's like two reverse crystal Charizards. Like, there's a ton of stuff. And I mean, for someone like me, for someone like you, we're looking at this stuff today, and almost everything is worth grading, right? I mean, whether it's going to bulk or going to expedited or whatever, it's worth grading almost all of this stuff. And that could be a very hefty expense. I mean, 50, 60, $70,000 to grade these complete sets. You know, Whatnot plans on doing a pretty cool auction event with selling off, each set like on its own, kind of going through a history of the set. So we're going to be doing complete graded sets, first edition base all the way through Skyridge. Reverses will be kind of like their separate sets as well, on their app. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. I mean, number one, how they come back and grade, and number two, how it all kind of ties in together and sells on a live auction website, kind of off of eBay, off of these large auction house websites, Heritage, Goldine.
Gold.
So, Goldine.
So, okay. So I have a few questions with this then. So first off, they're grading every card.
We're grading at least one of each set. Yeah. So every card, first edition, energies, hollows, commons, uncommons. So they're going to be complete sets.
Interesting. So, like, you're going to take an expedition common, grade it. You're going to take a legendary collection non-hollow Weedle, grade it.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So now you take them, you grade them. It's going to be a large cost because, like, do you know what tier you guys submitted at for grading?
Yeah.
What tier? Are you allowed to say?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So let's say it's bulk tier. You're looking at a year to get that stuff back probably at this point. Okay, let's say it's not bulk. Let's say it's a more reasonable turnaround time. You want to get it back faster, so you're going to go, I don't even remember what, I think it's standard or whatever. Like, let's say it's something that's like 4 months or less, right? You've got a much larger cost now in terms of the grade cost. And a lot of those little cards, like your non-hollow Weedle, are not going to offset that grade cost, at which point they're going to need to be offset by some of the heavier cards, right? Which makes sense. My fear from just hearing this from you and is that the idea of, one, taking a whole set and selling it, right? That works for first ed base because that's a set generally people will collect the whole thing, but most other sets that's absolutely not the case. And I think people, collect like their elite cards they want, but they don't necessarily go for a whole set nor a whole graded set. So I actually not sure that premium exists for a lot of those sets, especially if the grades are not all going to be the same. And there's no guarantee of that. In fact, I find it highly, highly unlikely that that would happen. And so then in addition to that, combining that, which is already going to be a relatively niche thing to take like a whole graded Skyridge set and list it up, or we could go even like Neo Discovery whole graded set, like something more obscure, like, and then to put it on an app that I'm not, I'm not knocking I almost call them the What Dog app, the Whatnot app. I just can't like get my names right today, but I'm not knocking them, right? The Whatnot app.
Right.
But their exposure is nowhere near what like Heritage or eBay or any of these places are yet.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
And so you're already looking at like a niche sale into a niche like app, at least for now, of like its scale.
Right.
I would be worried about the realized prices on those. And so I don't know what you're maybe allowed or not allowed to talk to it with regards to that, but that would be my fear if I was not only Whatnot or you, but like the person that's consigning this stuff out too.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely up for consideration that discussion. I mean, as a consultant for this type of things, I've advised that same concern, right? I mean, grading, like you said, a legendary collection Weedle doesn't really make sense. I mean, even at like a bulk $10 price, who's going to buy that? I mean, maybe you'll get $15 for a 10, $20 for a 10, which is a great margin, but it's not going to add too much premium to a complete graded set, right? Now, I mean, Whatnot, they charge 8.5% commission fee to sellers, so slightly lower than eBay. But I think that with the story that comes out about this collection, this sale, and honestly, I've told them like there could be a real opportunity here for collectors to buy something on a budget because there's just, like you said, not as much exposure to this app like there is with eBay and Heritage and all these other guys. Um, so, I mean, if this discussion gets out more, people listen to this and people start talking. And once they, do their marketing, push their stuff, and people like yourself or even me who recognize that, understand that they don't have as much um, exposure and that there's an opportunity here, it'll drive certain people to these auctions, and possibly, I think they'll do just fine. Like I don't think they do as well on a PWCC, on a Heritage, whatever, but I think they're going to end up doing just fine with the right marketing push, the right, um, uh, I guess, storytelling, because it really is like a viral type story, right? It's this barn find. You find a collection at, I mean, we saw that one video, the guy finding like 100 Charizards, 100
Mm-hmm.
Blastoids, 100 Venusaurs
That he forgot
um,
about. Mm-hmm.
that he forgot about, right? And this is like a real viral video. It's a great story. It's a grandma that collected with her grandsons, and uh, really, like, there's receipts from her eBay purchases. She printed out the descriptions from like the items she was buying. She has her notes on there. She like drew out diagrams of errors, like she drew a picture of a card and then an arrow to like the Arbok, the dark Arbok,
Yeah, yeah.
1999 to 23,000. Like she drew that out and like wrote it down. It's super interesting.
That's
So
cool.
I think with the right discussion of this and the right marketing push, it'll do just fine. But yeah, it's just a really interesting story and really overwhelming because, yeah, when you look at, again, collections like that, it's hard to zone in, focus in, and figure it out.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's tough for me because, like, again, with the right exposure, with the right, marketing of it, absolutely, it could do well, right? I mean, we've seen some of these other auctions on auction, at least within the Pokemon community, these auction houses that weren't very popular that started to
Mm.
gain, traction, right? I can give an example on the flip side. I buy graded video games. I've got a lot here, and I just
It's very
participated.
dark.
What'd you say?
It's very dark.
Yeah, it's dark in here, but they are back there, trust me. But I just participated in an auction on a new auction house I had never heard of until the day I participated in it because there was a game I wanted in it, and I was like, man, this could be a scam. It could not be a scam. I don't know, but I went in on it anyways because there was one of the auctioneers went and made a post in a Facebook group, and I saw the post, and I wanted that item, and I'm sure that item went for way more than probably what it would have had I not shown up because I think it was just me and another dude, and like, that kind of thing. So I absolutely understand where that can come in, and I guess a lot of it would be I would have to see what kind of marketing and exposure and everything that they do like that, because I guess for me, I always put myself in the shoes of the person that owns the collection and that would be selling it outright. I wouldn't be sold, right? Like if they can get some kind of guarantee that we'll have like X amount of people here or that kind of thing, sure, right, run with it. But like for me, in my mind, if you're going to do something like complete graded sets, that's something you put up on Heritage, right? Or that's something that you put up through PWCC where it's going to get just maximum exposure because you're already like pigeonholed yourself into like a very narrow market. You don't want to make it any more narrow inherently. And, again, this is just different strategies, different people, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it will be interesting to watch how it plays out. I'm going to be very curious. I know I will tune in specifically because I love legendary collection. So if someone's gonna, send off a legendary collection, I think it's out of 130, right? And they're gonna send it off to me, or no, 110. It's 110. If they're gonna send it off to me, for nothing, then sign me up, baby. 86 out of 110 Pikachu.
Yeah, and like I mean, yeah, I don't know all the details of what they did with the sellers, obviously, but everybody's in a different situation too, and they might have just offered them the right thing that made their lives better. Again, for someone like you who had a collection, I can't talk either, a collection like that, we understand the market, understand how to do it. We're in a different place in our lives where we can take it slow, do it the right way. For other people, getting that money now or getting that money later through a trustworthy company, instead of just like a random guy, and doing it that way instead of buying it for 25 cents on a dollar. Here's a bunch of cash. Like
Yeah.
there's everyone's in a different situation. I don't know the details on everything, but yeah, it just very well could have been a perfect situation for
Do
them.
the one
However,
and
they,
done,
they
get it out. Yeah.
right, however they pitched it to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I mean, I don't think we've seen an auction like that before. I mean, I know we have had somewhat recently, like complete binder sets of some things come out, but not like the entirety of WotC just be like thrown out there, right?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool. It'll be a fun event.
Do you know if
Again, I am affiliated with them. Like I am consulting them, so like not the
hashtag sponsored, hashtag ad, hashtag whatever other hashtag you have to add, put it in your title. Make sure, yeah, when you put this up, hashtag sponsored in the title. But
well, it's not really a sponsor video, but yeah, okay,
whatever. Just do it to be safe. Anyways,
yeah, I don't know how that works.
do you know if they're gonna take every set and auction them on the same day, or is it gonna be like a set each day or something?
No, I don't. We don't know the details yet. I mean, like you mentioned with PSA and return times, or how we all know, we can't really set a date, figure that out until we hear from PSA and understand that process of grading such a large collection. So, as that comes around, more details will be released.
Ooh, that's a big one.
So,
How many
yeah.
how many cards was it? Do you know? Like that's being sent?
Well, one of each WotC card, right, and including all the reverse hollows, like the Aquapolis set. What is that, like 330 cards or something?
It's a lot. Yeah.
And then there's Topps Chrome. There's Series 1, 2, 3. There's Black Star
wow.
promos. There's Japanese stuff. There's a lot of obscure things as well. There's like there's an air binder, no symbol jungle. So I forget the number, but it was, I think it was like 3,000, something like that.
That's a
Maybe
lot of
2,000?
cards. I actually
Yeah.
I just sent that many cards to CGC, so I know the pain of that. It's a lot of cards to get ready to process and send off.
Which one? Which one's quicker for you, CGC or PSA? The forms. At this point.
Probably CGC now because I have used them more frequently.
Yeah.
That being said, please still make the form faster. But don't take this as oh well, we're best at the form, so we're not doing that. No, please still make it faster. Make mass edits available. Do that kind of thing. But probably CGC for me. But I could see where people would think PSA is faster if they've used that one more recently, especially if they're just used to it, right? I think PSA is more simplified. I think the big thing with CGC is they give you like you have to like select like all the variant options and things like that. And so if you've never done that before, like it's kind of like what I was talking about with Adobe Premiere Pro. Like you just have like too many options, and like if the field is not required, you actually don't have to fill it in. Like I've noticed that like there are just certain things you don't click, and like once you know that, it makes it easier to like put cards through faster. But if you don't know that,
like automatically,
what'd you say?
Like the variant, like the hollow variant, will they do that automatically for you?
It depends, right? So like if like because sometimes you're just not gonna know, right? And so if you don't know, like if you don't know how to tell if your Ninetales has like the black flame or whatever, like you're not gonna know to select that variant, so you're just gonna leave it blank, right? So that kind of thing, and then they can fill it in. So that would be, one of those things where if you know that and you don't know the things, so now you're like researching, trying to figure out how to fill the form in. Yes, it can take way longer, and so.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been flying, or I flew through the PSA forms pretty well.
PSA is pretty streamlined. That was the one thing that I still think they have over pretty much anyone else in the industry, is that their form online is the most streamlined. And this has been one of the complaints that I have had with CGC and have requested, like for mass submitters, you've got to get something more efficient to doing these large submissions, right? I assume that this is like probably a cookie cutter off of like their comic submission form, where I can't imagine people are sending like, 1,000 comics at one time, maybe some of these really big submitters that are doing like middleman services, but I can't imagine your average person, whereas in like Pokemon, it's not hard to like pull 100 cards together and send them off, right? And so for me, it's one of those situations where I think this was like made for this demographic of consumer, but now it's like being used on this demographic of consumer that doesn't quite work the same way, right? Like
Mm.
I put together, I think it ended up being like 3,400 cards or something like that to send off, and I could probably do another one of those, right? And like, but I can't like take weeks, making submission forms and things like that all the time. And so like it's one of those things for your average person sending like 10 cards, it's whatever, right? You go punch in your 10
Mm-hmm.
cards, it doesn't really matter which form you're using. But for a lot of people out there doing volume, that time does matter. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I've got on it. But
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like some of these middleman services might figure out a way to do it quicker, but I have no idea.
yeah, I'm
Excel
sure that
sheets
like
and
there's
import it
probably
somehow.
a way that they can like automate it or something, like, and then
Yeah.
figure out like how to make like a program upload your data from a spreadsheet in itself or something. But like I don't have that capability. I don't know anything about that. So unless CGC
Mm-hmm.
like has a button or PSA has a button that I can click to tell me how to do it, I'm never gonna figure it out. So like make my life easier, please.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. I mean, I think we typically have blips and bleps here, but we definitely didn't prep those.
Well, I
Um,
think we had them last time, and I don't remember because we off the cuff them last time too. People are gonna be real mad about the blips and bleps slacking that's happened
yeah,
lately. So I
yeah.
am
Well,
gonna be
we've
honest.
been so busy,
I
dude.
didn't
Like
even
me
know
and
you
you
were
were
in
just.
California. Like I literally, like, full disclosure, it was maybe hour before the call. Radar's like, "Hey, can we adjust the time?" And I'm like, "Sure. What's up?" He's like, "Well, I'm in California," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's
Thank you
cool. It's just like one of those
for
things.
changing.
Like that's how fast like life could take all this, right? Like CGC, is it Tuesday? I think their prices go up. So I was like
Oh,
busting to get this
already?
submission
Gosh.
done before then and get it out and overnight it. And of course I overnight it and then it gets delayed. So now it's arriving Monday, but it's gonna get there by a day, like one day early,
Yeah.
And like, but that kind of thing, right? So like that's where my focus has been. Like laser focus, I've got to get these processed in. Meanwhile, you're laser focused on flying on planes that probably should be carrying my package but aren't, like that kind of thing. Maybe you or why my package didn't get on the plane. It was gonna have your seat, and then you took it.
Yeah, it got rerouted. I was following it the whole time. I knew where it
That's
was
that's
going.
the blip or blap for the day right there. Is it Radar's fault that my package to Florida, and he's in California, did not arrive on time? Let us
Yeah.
know right down below.
But yeah, I should be home soon. We finished up today. Well, yesterday when this comes out, so we'll be done and all that.
And you'll be
But yeah,
back.
man, this was fun. My first traveling podcast. Dude,
Dang.
we're so busy now. Me and you are
Is
killing it.
this gonna be a regular thing?
Possibly.
You traveling on the podcast? Dang, we're
Possibly.
gonna have to get you a PC then, not a Mac.
I think this was like on the top of the list for editing and rendering videos. Like that's
Yep,
what I
and you
searched
can't even
when
put desktop audio through it. Let's go! If anyone out there's a Mac expert, my boy Radar needs some help.
Yeah, please send me the audio file after this. Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, that's it, dude. I'm starving. I gotta go eat. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you for watching. And Squeaks, thank you for being you.
Oh man, well thank you for being you. I hope you have a safe flight home. I'm gonna go Naruto run in my house. I don't know.
Is there
What would
Naruto
you do if we
flying?
started a podcast and one day I just busted in Naruto run?
I would
We
love
are
it.
fighting dreamers. Da, 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 da. Okay, see you guys.
All right. Bye.